I'm Max from Agora's Developer Relations team. I'm going to be talking today about something we've been working on at Agora called Agora UIKit. These UIKits are a collection of libraries that make integrating video streaming to your application easier than ever. I'm excited to share with you some of the ways you can use Agora UIKit in your applications. In this talk, we're just talking about the iOS library, which is also compatible with macOS. Some of my colleagues will be talking about the UIKits available for Android, React Native, and Flutter later today. Agora's SDKs are a great place to get started adding video streaming to your applications today. But currently, it takes a lot of development time to build a video product that looks polished and ready to ship. Audio can be done with half a dozen lines of code. Even a basic video UI could be another 20 or so lines. Using some of our more lightweight guides, a developer could build a bare bones app in 10 to 15 minutes with around 80 lines of code in the entire application. This is what the code might look like. You don't have to read this code, but here there are a couple of views made to represent the local and remote video feeds. The local video feed is positioned around the top right, and the remote is in the center. No consideration for device orientation, a total of 2 users, and no video controls. This is what it'll look like. It's a great start, but it means that this developer will then need to go to another guide to find out how to add features that many of their users will be expecting, such as having remote video camera feeds, to finding if someone has muted their microphone, removing a video feed when someone disconnects, even handling device orientation so the views don't get all messed up. There are delegate methods and other functions in Agora's RTC SDK to do such things, but currently you'll have to look up the documentation, find all the appropriate delegate methods, and implement all of the UI yourself. Here's what the code might look like if you add all of those features into your application. Here there are around 700 lines of code to do all of the things mentioned before and a few other bells and whistles. And this is the end result. We have the camera controls, video feeds organized into a grid, and people disappear when they go offline. There's also token fetching, and camera permissions and microphone permissions are handled properly. This is now much closer to a finalized product, but we don't think all that boilerplate code should be necessary. Far too much of developers' time is spent leafing through documentation, blogs, and asking questions in our community Slack when all they want to do is get a good video solution into their app and concentrate on their company's bigger product. We saw from examples that the video SDK, from these examples, that the video SDK is a great and simple way to get connected to Agora's network, but all the UI is where things get tedious, repetitive, and a lot of developers end up making similar experiences anyway. So this is what we've come up with. This is what we think a low-code solution should look like for this problem. All you need to do here is create a new object, which we've called Agora Video Viewer. Frame it within your app and join the channel. This is what it looks like. This is the default view, which gives you everything seen in the previous slides and more, but without having to build all the standard UI and catching all of those delegate methods yourself. Let me tell you a little bit more about Agora UIKit. As we've seen, Agora UIKit is a low-code solution which simplifies the code down to a bare minimum of steps a developer will need to take, reducing common features and design patterns into a low-code but powerful implementation. It is easily integrated with your project with several different methods of integration to choose from. Agora UIKit simplifies long-term maintenance. By having this layer of abstraction from Agora's core SDKs, you won't have to worry about large-scale changes to these SDKs, as this library will handle all of the updates as they're released. This way, your code can focus on creating the view and joining the channels. These libraries are all open source and fully documented, so you can look through and see how the package is interacting with Agora's SDK. All the interactions in Agora's SDKs, all the interactions in the UIKit follow are best practices. So even if you don't want to use Agora UIKit, you can take a look at the repository and see how every feature works. While a lot of the work is done for you, Agora UIKit also lets you customize in many ways. If you happen to need additional customization that isn't achievable by using the provided settings or overriding methods, you're free to fork the package and make it your own. And as mentioned earlier, Agora UIKit is available for iOS, macOS, Android, React Native, and Flutter. Now that we've covered what Agora UIKit is, let's take a look at a basic implementation. The first step is installation. Installing Agora UIKit is just as easy as any other dependency. For iOS, you can install directly in Xcode via Swift Package Manager. The library is also hosted on CocoaPods for iOS and macOS. Or, of course, you can clone the repository and manually add the files if you want complete control. The install process can take up to a minute, depending on your connection speed. Before, we saw the entire view controller. Let's focus into the specific code needed to add Agora UIKit to your app. As before, you define a viewer, which can be manipulated the same way as any other UI view. The helper method fills uses constraints to fill another view with the Agora video viewer. And finally, join lets you join the channel given a channel ID and a role for your local user. In this case, the role is broadcaster. When you move your app to production, you may have some additional fields, such as a token and/or token server, which I'll talk about later. From there, you get this simple layout, which displays all the remote video feeds and adds all the features mentioned earlier. So what features does that code smart sample give you? Based on what we've been hearing and seeing from our developer audience, as well as our other applications that include video, these are the default settings Agora UIKit offers with no code changes compared with the previous slide. The video streams automatically come in and out when someone comes online, and they're positioned alongside the other streams for you. If one person is speaking, they are flagged as the active speaker, and their camera feed will take center stage. The user also has an option to pin a user, overriding the active speaker, which is currently on the stage. Several control buttons appear by default, including a camera, microphone, and a toggle to switch the cameras. A small icon will appear when someone mutes their microphone, and their camera feed will disappear if someone mutes their camera. As previously mentioned, we use best practices in Agora UIKit, such as scalable UI. When using Agora, all the streams come in separately. This is one thing we do to ensure a very low latency in video delivery. However, this does become more taxing on the device when there are many incoming streams. To combat this, UIKit will automatically switch between high and low video streams based on the number of incoming streams and the size of the views. The center stage user will always fetch the higher quality video by default. This makes for a smoother experience for the end user by reducing the amount of work the device has to handle. All of these features can be fine-tuned or disabled through the settings, depending on your use case needs. But these are the features we believe you'll want enabled by default. I'm going to play a quick video showing how to build an entire application using Agora UIKit. There it is, and start it. So first, we create a new project, just with any other iOS native application. This app is called Test UIKit. Next, we install the package. So we go to the Swift Packages tab here, grab the URL from GitHub, pop it in, and then select our version. This part has been sped up slightly. The actual download took 35 seconds. Next, we head over to the info.plist to add the camera and microphone usage descriptions. These are required for any app that uses the camera and microphone. Next, we're going to head over to the view controller and import our newly downloaded package. Then, in the view.load, we're going to create the new viewer, providing a valid app ID and a temporary token too, which you may or may not want to use. Next, we'll use that helper method, fills, to fill our view controller with the new view. And finally, we're going to join the channel, example channel ID, as a broadcaster, which means we'll be sharing our video feed. The microphone and camera permissions appear as those are handled by the UIKit library itself. Bear in mind that the simulator does not have a usable camera, so no camera feed will show up in this example. We'll just switch back to the presentation. I'd like to see if there are any questions at this point. If not, we can move on with the rest of the presentation. There haven't been any questions in the questions tab yet, so if anyone has anything to come up with at some point, please put it in there. Otherwise, we're just going to carry on with the presentation and go on to a more complicated example. Just a few lines of code, that's right. Yeah. Okay, we'll move on, and there'll be another time for questions at the end, in case there are any. This is a sample app made by Agora's real-time messaging SDK, RTM. We can currently set our username, see who's online. They're removed from the list if they go offline, of course. And we can send some requests to start a video call session, but the video screen currently just has a placeholder. We want to complete the calling feature using Agora's video UIKit. To do so, we need to install the package, replace our text view with the video view that has our app credentials. We've already seen how to install Agora UIKit, so we can go straight to the coding part. This is the view controller that currently has a placeholder where we want the video feed to be. We need to replace the message label with an Agora video viewer, frame it, and join the channel. Let's see what that looks like in code. Not much changed, but first, we have imported the Agora UIKit. Then, inside the view.load method, we create an Agora video viewer with the app ID and token, as we've seen before. There's an extra parameter being used here, style, which changes the display to a grid style, as you'll see on the next slide. Then, we're going to fill the screen with a video viewer using the fills method. Then, join the channel, and that's it. Just like that, this application is now complete. Bear in mind that this package also takes care of requesting permission for the camera and microphone. If someone tries to join a call without these permissions yet granted, it will request them. And if the user denies any of those, then they'll show as off when they join the channel. For example, if they allow microphone permissions, but not camera, they will join as an audio user that can see everyone else, and their camera is switched off. All you need to do as the developer is add the permissions to your info.plist file, as we saw in the video earlier. So this is how the final app flow will look. First, we see all the people online, as before. Our user, shown at the bottom there, is named Agora, and we want to call the user Max. So this is our local device about to send the request. Let's send the request. Now this is Max's device, where they also see a list of users, but they have been presented with a pop-up as a direct response of the request sent to them that says, do you want to start a video call with Agora? Let's click that button, and then both users are presented with this view. The video call is there. There wasn't really much work, and now the app is complete. There's video calling for them both. They're in the same channel. The channel name was sent to each other via RTM, and that's it. As you can see, Agora UIKit is an incredibly fast, powerful tool for adding Agora video streaming solution into your app. There are a few other features that can be altered with just changing a setting found in the UIKit. As mentioned earlier, if you provide the URL where your token server is, UIKit will automatically fetch the token when joining the channel and renew it before it's due to expire. There are a few built-in layouts, floating and grid, that we've seen before, and you can pass your own layout method to position the video feeds as you see fit. You can easily remove or add to the buttons shown on the page, such as the microphone toggle. You can also choose their positioning within the frame, left, top, right, bottom. You can also change those stream buttons as well. Other options include how the camera feed is displayed within the frame, such as whether you want it letterboxed, you want it to fill the page, or other settings offered by Agora, which is the render mode. Colors can also be altered, such as the mute icon or other colors throughout the UIKit. There are more customizations possible with Agora UIKit, so I encourage you to take a look at our documentation and the comprehensive guide we have for the full details. Later this year, we plan to include sharing and displaying of usernames. We will also add a feature to send requests for others to mute and unmute their camera or microphones. Another feature we'll add this year is a way to see everyone who's not broadcasting, but is instead a member of the audience in your channel. All of these features can already be done with the Agora SDKs, but the UIKit offers a way to have them without having to code up all the logic yourself, saving time and money. Thank you for joining the session, and be sure to check out the QR code links here to see a guide on how to use Agora UIKit for iOS, see the source code of the project shown in this session, the Agora UIKit repository, and my Twitter, where you can feel free to reach out with any questions if they come up down the line. I'd like to once again open up for questions from the audience relating to Agora UIKit for iOS. All right, I'm going to have a quick look in here. There's two people have asked about SwiftUI. Anything you do in UIKit, well, Apple's UIKit, can be done in SwiftUI. There is a SwiftUI class included in the UIKit, in the iOS UIKit, which you can import the set package as before and just build and include that SwiftUI view. Does it work the same for macOS and iOS? The code is actually the same code base for iOS and macOS. There are various flags in there to check. Are you using the iOS? For example, with iOS, you use Apple's UIKit. For macOS, you use Apple's AppKit. So some functions are a little bit different, but for the developer, it's exactly the same implementation. Does this support screen sharing? Desktop screen sharing, yes. For mobile screen sharing, there is a way to add a button to enable screen sharing, but screen sharing with iOS involves a little bit more work in general. You have to include an app extension. There are various guides how to do that. It would probably be a good idea to make a guide on how to do that with UIKit, but it's definitely possible. Okay, I'll just check here. Looking forward to using this. Great. I think if this, there's another one popped up. How much flexibility do you have for customization after implementing the UIKit on iOS? You have a lot of flexibility in terms of how you lay out the view and everything like that. But anything that you feel, I mentioned before, anything you feel is not flexible enough for you, you can just clone the entire repository and change what you need to fit your needs, to fit your use case. You may want to completely change the UI, but have UIKit take care of some of the busy work that does just take a while with connecting to the video SDK. And yes, the UIKits are all, we encourage contributions, of course. If you have any issues, which I hope not, you can open an issue on GitHub. If you have a suggestion or a feature request, pop it in there. If you've implemented your own change and you want to submit it for a pull request, please do. All right. There's some great questions. Thank you very much. And we have Meherdeep coming up soon to talk about the UIKit for Android. And so stay tuned for that one. And then afterwards is React Native with Ikansh and Flutter with Tadas. If there's no more questions, then yeah, thanks for the awesome workshop. You're welcome. All right. Thanks everyone for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of RTE 2021.